In this 10th installment, Johnny receives a totally unexpected visit from his father. He stands up for himself on the rooftop. It's touch and go, and it leaves him exhausted. But something perhaps has changed, both him and his father.
And what a shock it was to see his father standing there in the middle of his living room.
You left the door unlocked.
Dad, what are you doing here? Holy shit!
I came to see you. A woman friend of yours called me at my office. She didn't give her name, and frankly, I'm not sure how she found my number. She also left a message with your mom at home. She said you were facing some big challenges, and, well, she urged us to come be with you. So here I am.
Whew, that's heavy. Well, good to see you, Dad.
He replied, hesitantly, his head down and his body leaning wearily against the doorframe. He looked up and walked over to give his father a hug. Martin Saster, dressed in his Wall Street pinstripe with hat in hand, held his son briefly and patted his back.
So, son, what's going on? You look, well, not so great, frankly. Your room is a mess, and somebody was worried enough about you to call us. She said you kept the door unlocked, by the way. We hadn't heard from you. Thought it was just you wanting a little independence, as a college kid. I didn't expect this. Looks like you've lost 15 pounds.
Yeah, lost a few. Hasn't been a great ride, to tell you the truth. Ever since the accident, haven't been feeling myself.
Look, John, I really think that's all in your head. I'm sure you're fine. You know this could be just a whiff of hypochondria. You've always been a little worried about health issues. You just need to get your act together and get on with your courses. Plain and simple.
Nothing had ever banged into John's consciousness, like a cannonball to the head. As those words, his face went colorless, his eyes glared. He stumbled across the room, out the window, and up the fire escape.
Hey, where are you going?
Piss off.
When he reached the rooftop, Martin in hot pursuit up the rickety outdoor rails, he headed for the parapet at the end of the building and grabbed on to the low-lying brick retainer wall.
John, what the hell are you doing up here?
I am not a hypochondriac,
he yelled, breaking out in a kind of hysterical laughter.
You are so messed up, Dad. You are the goddamn toxic beam of the behemoth, and you don't even know it.
He reached down, grabbed one of the potted plants in its clay container, and whipped it at his father's head. It exploded on the steel furnace next to his old man, splattering his Armani suit with wet black soil.
You throw your light around and everyone runs. They are scared shitless of you. You're clueless.
Shocked, Martin Saster brushed off the debris. He stayed calm, although internally shaken to the core.
I'm the what of the what? Have you gone mad?
Yeah, a little, Dad. I have. But you know what? My therapist says that might be because you and Mom have instilled in me a chronic fear of the unknown, to the point that I'm an anxiety-ridden freak. How do you like that? You never asked me about my vain hopes and worries, my likes and dislikes. Come to think of it, it was all about you, all this time.
Listen, now come over here and let's talk. Come on now, son.
John had never felt so torn up. Anger, fear, confusion, heartbreak, all in one. He was shattered. His body cringed with spasms, his cheeks were stained with tears. His mind was filled with resentment and anger. For the first time in his life, he had cried in front of his father. And when he looked into his dad's eyes, he could see, perhaps for the first time, a sign of doubt, of true caring, of nascent empathy, perhaps even a bud of remorse.
Well, Dad, you've always wanted and expected me to perform at the top. I've tried,
he said, averting his gaze.
But sometimes it just didn't happen. Maybe it was because I felt I was doing it for you and Mom, not for me. Right now, the world is a pretty terrifying place. I can barely function. Get out of bed, make food, do a little schoolwork, but I'm always struggling to be around crowds, inside classrooms, on the subway and buses. I'm a wreck, Dad. I have what my doctor calls panic disorder.
That's a bunch of crap, son. Psychobabble, highfalutin mumbo-jumbo. You're probably just a little stressed out. You know, going off on your own the first time, not uncommon freshman experience. So just get a grip.
No, you're not getting it. It's way bigger than that. Even when an actual danger is nowhere to be seen, I can perceive a threat, some random thing, that sends my whole system into nervous overdrive. I go into these mini meltdowns that turn me into a friggin' zombie, frozen on the spot, having to drag my butt along the walls of buildings. You get to the point where you feel there's nothing worth living for.
I don't buy it. No, none of it. And what does the therapist say is behind all this garbage?
He says there can be a bunch of reasons, but he's convinced there's typically a cycle of neglect, abandonment as a young child, a cycle that needs to be broken.
What do you mean, neglect and abandonment? What are you talking about?
Like what I'm doing right now. I'm standing up, I'm speaking up with my voice, and making sure you understand. This ain't gonna go on much longer. You chose work over family, didn't you, Dad? Come on, admit it. When I needed a dad, you weren't there, especially when I fell on my face. You were all scowls.
Look, son, your mother and I have always done all that we can to give you a comfortable, secure, happy life. All those times we were there for you, in the rain, the snow, on the sidelines.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm grateful for all that, really. But what you didn't see is the impact you had on me when I really needed you and you weren't there. When I didn't get the straight A's you expected. When I whiffed in Little League in the 9th. When I shot wide in the travel soccer final. It was like you didn't want to be associated with me. And it was always work, work, work down on Wall Street when I asked Mom, as a little kid, where's Dad? What the hell? You know, it all comes down to this. Your not being there added to my sense of failure.
Martin Saster was silent. His eyes were riveted on his son, trembling before him in the cold air. He bowed his head. He looked ashen. His armor had been pierced.
John, I'm sorry. I really am. I always just wanted you to live by the same credo. Do your best, bounce back from adversity, never give up. I suppose I lost the human touch somewhere. You know, I have to admit, my dad was extremely tough on me, for better or worse.
He moved over to hug his boy.
Can this thing be cured?
It can be managed. I'm on the path.
Well, I still don't buy it, this disorder thing. I just think you're going through a tough patch. You're strong. You'll get through this. Know that your mother and I are here for you, okay? Got that?
I do. And whether you buy it or not, I've got to fight with all my strength, physical and mental. I have to remove things that trigger the anxiety, that deplete me, that kill my self-esteem. Will you do me a huge favor? Tell Mom I love her, and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get my true self back.
You got that, I promise. And you do us a favor, son. Call us, check in, tell us how you're doing. No more of this incommunicado BS. All right, take care, son.
Just then his BlackBerry rang, and he was on the phone as he waved goodbye. The rooftop scene with his father left him drained. It was a game changer. He felt it in his bones. He had never spoken to him that way, and from here on out, it was a whole new playing field. He had put Dr. Greenberg's toolkit in action, respectful assertiveness as a means of true self-preservation. Indeed, a father and son wake-up call that should have happened years earlier had gone down. To be sure, nothing was resolved. Yet a conversation spoken in a whole new language had begun, and it made him happy. Yes, he still harbored a deep and rising well of resentment toward his dad, but at the same time, he knew that introspection, self-reflection, and empathy were not core to his old man's DNA. And while he acknowledged that change is all but impossible when it comes to altering another adult's behavior, especially the unconscious parts of the personality, he simply rejoiced in the idea set in motion by wise old Greenberg that a milestone had been reached in his tenuous, involuntary relationship with his checked-out, hard-driving, Type A Wall Street dad. Martin Saster was just emotionally blind. He laughed, clueless about the impact he was having. Maybe, just maybe, he had managed to throw a little dapple of light his dad's way. Up there on the frigid roof.
Electric acid.